Hey, dreamer, dreamer, nothing but a dreamer. Oh my goodness gracious. You know, dreams are the most amazing things. Even animals dream. Hi there, Neil here, the Twisted Light Worker. Thrivalism Thursdays are really taking shape. March 21st, we just did Thrivalism Thursday, and the topic was dreams. The dream of the world versus the dream of the planet. How many times have you heard somebody answer the question, how you doing? They say, well, living the dream. Well, it's true. We're all living a dream. But the question is, are we living our dream or someone else's? Are we being programmed and manipulated into living somebody else's dream? Or are we using strategies and our own observation and our own critical thinking to choose the dream that we want to build? That's kind of the topic of Thrivalism Thursday on March 21st. And this is going to be a timely video, so it'll be relevant a year from now. And so I'm going to just sit down and sit back, I should say, and allow you to join us on the whole Thrivalism Thursday, which happened on the 21st of March at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here we go. Oh, there you are. Oh, there. That's why you disappeared. You had a virtual background. Anyway, Thrivalism Thursday, I break it down into 3 parts. In my life, I've studied ancient metaphysics and Toltec and various spiritual courses in all kinds of sales and marketing, inspiration, motivation courses. I've probably spent, well, I know I've spent over 30 grand on those kinds of courses. So the first part of Thrivalism Thursday, I always share a little bit of metaphysics and a little bit of the background there because I feel I can give something of value for all my years of study and research and down that path. And then we move into the second part of Thrivalism Thursday, and that is where we start to realize that global changes start by everybody making their communities better. So local action equals global impact. Local action is a global impact, and we follow that philosophy. And I belong to the CSA group, which is Community Support Alliance. It's a group of I guess there's about 140 people locally, and we've started a few other chapters. And it's really fun because we get together and do a whole bunch of things. So we discuss that with the second part of Thrivalism Thursday. And then, of course, the final, I open it up for anybody who is interested in being an affiliate, because I know that there's some people who are coming to the web events and they have no desire to be an affiliate and they don't want to learn too much about what's going on there, but they signed up with Onpassive in order to attend 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓻 web events. So the last part of the Thrivalism Thursday is when we start talking a little bit about Onpassive. But for the most part, I want it to be the emphasis on the first 2 things, because those of us who are into the affiliate side of things, when we start making money, we're going to have more time and more mental energy to do greater things in our community. So we might as well start now. So that's the second part of Thrivalism Thursday. But the most important part, if we don't learn how to stand in our own power and awaken to our own connection to the divine spirit, which is part of the great awakening that's going on, if we don't make that leap, it's going to slow the process down of elevating mankind's consciousness to the point where we can really create heaven on earth. And that's what it's all about. So with the Toltec, I started off today with the dreaming. And if you watch the video advertisement for tonight's Thrivalism Thursday, I talked about the fact that in the Toltec, they believe that there are 2 different dreaming. There's the dream of the world and the dream of the planet. And I really like that way of looking at it because it's very accurate. both on the metaphysical and the spiritual plane, as well as in the realistic 3D world that we're trapped in. And this 3D world, I share a little bit about what the Star of David means in the last Thrivalism Thursday. So I'll put the link to that in the description below. So that was on the March the 14th. So 1 week ago tonight. And I share with you how the evil ones flipped everything upside down. And the awakening, we're turning it right side out, right side up again. But going back into the dream of the world and the dream of the planet, on an energetic level as well as in the physical level, is what you really need to tap into with this conversation, because it covers all aspects of the two dreams of this existence, this realm that we are in. And there's a lot of people believe the earth is round. Some people believe it's flat. And no matter what the shape is, it doesn't matter. It's just a realm of endless sea of vibrations that are constantly in motion. Tesla had it right 100% when he said, when you think of the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. So in the dream of the world, it's more of the ego. And that's what we have to do in order to make our existence what we want it to be. And we can mold time, so to speak, and make our life and our community and our environment the way we want it to be. And that's in the dream of the world. And it starts off with the energy part of thinking, what we think about, how we view the world, what is our perception of the reality. If we see the weeds in the garden, meaning if we see the evil in the world around us and the evil in the intention, if we turn and look the other way, we're not doing anything to correct the situation. And if we bury our head in the dirt and refuse to look at it, we're even in a worse case situation. So to me, it's like gardening. You have to be aware of the weeds, and then you have to pull them. But if you don't look for the weeds, you won't find them, and you won't have a harvest in your garden. So in the dream of the world, that's where we're focusing our energy, our time, and our actions and our strategies, because strategies are extremely important in the Toltec and in life in general. It's important. We don't strategize enough. We don't take things to the extreme and really look at what is happening all around us, what weeds are right in our own location where we're living that need to be dealt with. So that's the dream of the world. And the dream of the planet, that's where the collective consciousness of humanity comes in. It's a totally different thing, because as a collective, our thoughts, you see, they create our reality. They radiate out from our brain like electrical impulses. Is exactly what they are. And that's why an EEG machine actually works, because it monitors the radio signals that our brain is sending out. And they go right out to the end of the field of the universe. And based on how our heart is, that's what's attracted back to us. So we create our reality with our thoughts first. And then, of course, our actions and our inactions. If we know that we should be doing something and we don't do it, that's an inaction. That's just as bad as an action that goes against you. So in the dream of the planet, the collective consciousness of all of humanity shapes the whole realm, this earth realm that we are living in. And right now, there's a veil of forgetfulness between the spiritual world and the 3D world of our physical bodies. That the veil is starting to get thinner. That means we're waking up to more of our divine potential. And tied into biblically, God hath not given the spirit of fear, but of love and of power and sound mind. He's given all three of those aspects of character to all of us in abundance. We already have those, but we have to tap into them, tune into them, and claim them as our own. And the evil ones, because they flipped the world upside down, they've got us so we don't even think about those important things of who and what we are and how we create our reality. Like I said, right from our thinking, our thoughts, actions, and inactions. So the Toltec version of the dream of the world and the dream of the planet, you can start to see how the two of them are different, and yet they're connected. So, right now, with the thinning of the veil between the spiritual side of life, the 3D world, and the 5D world, if you want to use those terms, it fits. That's thinning. So, therefore, we're all waking up to a greater reality than what we've even had any comprehension of that existed, other than those few people like myself who've dug down deep into rabbit holes of metaphysics and spirituality and really tried to get a grasp of it all. So, the dream of the world and the dream of the planet are two separate things. And yet, right now, because the veil of forgetfulness between our higher self, our God connection, is starting to get thinner, that means the gap between the two worlds is starting to come together. And that is what the Great Awakening is about. We're going to learn how to create heaven on earth, and that's going to be right from our own individual lives, as well as for the collective, for the dream of the planet. So that kind of gives you an overview, a real brief overview of the dream of the world and the dream of the planet. And if you spend a little bit of time going over that and dig through many of the videos that I have on my channel, I go into a little bit of metaphysics, a little bit of Toltec with all my videos. I add a little bit, I should say with all of them, but most of them I add a little bit because, like I said, 45 years of study, I feel like it's time for me to give something back. And on top of that, I do run 8-hour workshops on that in person. Is the only way I've done them so far. But I'm in the process of mentally first doing the gymnastics required in order to do an online webinar of that type of event where I'm going to take people through an 8-hour workshop. So it's quite extensive. And believe me, anyone who has come through the 8-hour workshops and they actually religiously follow the action steps and the I guess you could call it a worksheet that I give them to practice on. Any one of them that does a lot of practicing, they get a real good concept of the dream of the world, the dream of the planet, and their connection to the divine source, which is inside each and every single cell of your body. And so now I'm going to let you open up, and if you have any questions on that, let's have just an open discussion on the dream of the world versus the dream of the planet. You have any thoughts on that, Sharon?
Well, I'm not sure if I have one right now. I'll have to catch up with everything that you just said. Sorry, like I mentioned at first, I have been unwell for the last few days, so my head's a little foggy. But I will let everybody else have a chance to speak, and then I might have some 2 cents to add, if you don't mind. But I also wanted to let you know that the reason why everybody was here at 7:30, because it does say in the back office 7:30, and on the webinar that I watched last night said 7:30. So I think that's why we're all here waiting for you at 7:30 tonight. And I will give you my input. I'll let other people speak first.
Yeah, that's interesting because the graphic that I made for my advertising, it said 8 o'clock.
And you can use that graphic as your virtual background. Have you played with the virtual backgrounds yet?
No, I haven't.
They're pretty cool. See, as you were speaking, I found this one with the planet, with the Earth, and there's a couple other ones up there that I like too. So, and what's great about the virtual background is that you can pull pictures from your gallery. So you can take pictures that you already have in
Well,
your gallery, and you can use it as your virtual background.
I use those with video editing, and sometimes I use them with OBS Studio, where I actually create my videos that I upload from there. So I see Mr. Oakes. Good to see you here, Daryl. Robert, maybe you're just listening. It says that your mic is on, but you're not saying hello. So Robert is a friend of mine from fairly close to here. The fellow who got me involved in Onpassive also got Robert involved. Robert goes by two different names, Robert or Daryl, depends on the time. Yeah,
Well, I've been called worse, but yeah, I prefer with on passive with being business, and I've when I've done business elsewhere, it's always been Robert by my first name. That's the name my dad gave me. Daryl was the name my mom gave me, and I all my life I've been raised with my name Daryl, but I've decided to change it in 2024 since I started on passive actually in 2020. So yeah, I this journey is again getting very interesting all the way along, and it's I understand like it's here to help people out, and I've been doing that most of my life anyways, like helping people out whenever I can, and even at work, whatever you're doing, you just help out people. You
yeah.
know, if they're not confused, if they're confused about their work or something like that, then you help them out, right? So that's what I'm here for.
People helping people.
Hmm.
So that's the beautiful thing. Yeah. For the
So
benefit of Sharon and Ankit and Pusham and Pinky, I'll share a little bit about what uh, CSA, the group that I'm involved in the Community Support Alliance. Joe Jakubowski was the founder of it, and he started the meetings at the beginning of the pandemic. And the purpose of the general concept of it all was to be ready for the worst, prepared for the worst, and hope for the best. And we've got people that are doing all kinds of things. We've got a group that's working with uh, the political side of things. And Action for Canada, we have a rep that's very busy with that in our local community. We also have a fellow that's helping people with common law, and we have a spiritual group that gets together once a month or once every 2 months. We get together and we garden together. We teach first aid. We have a number of them have put up shortwave radio, ham radio towers, and they have their walkie talkies that they communicate with. So they really took the preparation for the worst to the nth degree, and we've basically we've learned how to create community, and that's something that the evil ones tried to destroy in us by eliminating what we used to do for entertainment, getting together with barbecues in street barbecues. The churches was a big one at the beginning. At one time, that's the place where everybody created community. So the evil ones flipping the world upside down, taking God out of the picture, they did everything in their power to get us not to form communities where we would learn how to cooperate and work together and regardless of personalities. And so the CSA group, to my way of looking at it, I've been going now for the most meetings now for 2 years. I went to a few meetings at the very beginning 3 years ago when they started. And what I have seen unfold is a group of people who are working, literally, strategically rolling up their sleeves and learning how to create community to work together. When we get everybody gardening and stuff like that together, right on down to we get together and have music jams once in a while too. I haven't attended any of those yet, but a few of them have get together and do that. So we have a nice Christmas party every year. So like we really have made huge strides in learning once again the art of creating community. And that to me is extremely powerful because it goes back to that statement where I say local action creates a global impact. So our Community Support Alliance is extremely active and very effective at what they're doing. It's really cool. We've had
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
we've had quite a few of them. We get together as a group too, and we've gone to different rallies. There's been a rally or two in um, Brantford, where I live close to Brantford. We're 45 minutes away from downtown Brantford. We've participated in some of the rallies there. Some of them have from the CSA group got together and they went to the trucker convoy in Ottawa. So we've been extremely active on a lot of fronts in this whole awakening. And I, for one, the research that I've personally done, Sharon, I've really focused on what the white hats are doing, the good guys. And it's extremely obvious that we're getting very close to the end of the movie, so to speak. As Q would tell us, it's a movie. And we're going to see a lot of good things start to happen. It's going to be bumpy for the rest of this year because whether the good hats or the white hats or the black hats win, either way, the whole economy has to collapse to be rebuilt. But I'm not at all worried. Not even one iota am I worried because the good guys have a way more control on what's going on than what most people can see. And you have to learn to follow certain people to actually see that. And there's so much good news going on there. To me, there's no chance that at all for the black hats, the bad guys, to win this globalist war against humanity. They've already lost. It's just a matter of mopping up a number of the I call them pods of negative and evil that are still out there. And we're going to see in the next, I'm guessing, because there's no way of putting a time frame on it. But in the next 60 days, we're going to see a lot of changes, proof that the white hats have been way busier than most of the people have a clue about. And they've been cleaning up behind the scenes for this last 7 years. 7 years.
Sorry, I took off my virtual background because if you notice, there's a delay when I move and there's a delay when I speak. And yes, I think we do have the, what do you call them? The one world government, new world order. I think they are running scared right now because there's still a lot of sheeples out there, but the many people that have stood up and the many people that they have been trying to stop, it's getting harder and harder for them to do that. So
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you before you mentioned where you were from. I was interested to know where everybody in Canada is from. So you're just outside of Brantford, Neil?
Yeah, right on the north shore of Lake Erie. I actually posted that in the chat.
And everybody else that's in Canada, where are you from?
And yeah, Robert's 10 minutes from me, right?
Yep. I'm actually north of Neil. I'm in a place called Simcoe. It's about 10 miles north, going towards Brantford, Highway 24. Um, Neil's right on the lake shore, right in North Lake Erie, North Shores of Lake Erie. So he's at the place where I grew up, actually, and it's a fun town. It's a lot of talent there, and it's growing. It used to be a fish town. There was a famous place there one time where they grew roses and a lot of greenhouses that were there, and yeah, it's a good experience of growing up there. It was all right. Didn't mind it.
And And what was that little town called again? Sorry, I didn't get into the
Oh,
chat because I'm too busy listening to you guys.
it was called Port Dover.
Oh, Porto, I heard of it.
Yeah,
Well,
Flagship.
Yeah,
that's where the Friday the 13th and all the bikers show up.
yeah, I haven't been there in years, mind you, but yes,
Yeah.
very nice little town. It's probably a lot bigger now than what it was when I was there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it got to be over 20 years ago that I went there,
Cool. Cool. Cool.
but things have changed. Because I know there's a lot of Canadians on your webinar. And so that's why I was curious to know where everybody in Canada is. And I know that there's some Americans. I did see a flag, I think, from the UK.
Yeah, and I see Deanna Shokes from the U.S. and Dave Hines. He's also a member of the Community Support Alliance with Joe and I. So
Right.
welcome, Dave. This is the first time you've showed up for a Thrivalism Thursday.
Yep. I've got lots of things on the go, and you know how busy I am, Neil.
Yeah, and Joe and Dave and one other fellow really head up the whole. They sit at the main table at our meetings, but all three of them are very busy in making sure things happen, and the rest of us all do our part as we see most fit for what our skills and our abilities are. I've been probably the one that did the most. Obviously the one that did the most videos. I've been making online presence bigger than anyone else in the group, and that's what I was doing prior to actually getting involved with CSA. I wanted to build some online stuff, and I mentioned my metaphysical workshops that I do. I wanted to build them for online. So
Right. In my book, I am on this webinar on my Android phone. And unfortunately, with your Android phone, you can only see 4 people. Well, actually, I can only see 3 people, including myself, on the screen. So I am also going to log in on my other cell phone, and so I can see the whole panel.
yeah, I see eight here now, and I'm not sure how many people here. Deanna,
What part of Toronto you're from there, Sharon?
Well, almost downtown Toronto. I'm in the neighborhood, Old Western Road, Rogers, roughly neighborhood.
Oh,
And
okay.
that, if you know where that is, yeah. And so I'm in that neighborhood right now. My building went up for sale, and I'm a renter, so I might have to move, and I'm not looking forward to that. Mind you,
My building's up for sale too. I had just some people here this afternoon looking at it. Yeah, I might have to do the same.
yeah. Well, my building's been up for sale for 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're asking way too much, and there's just too much happening. Like I have, it's an apartment and retail in front, and so many places in Toronto have had to close their doors. Like I mentioned, like they're getting squeezed out with all these big chains opening up. So when you go through the different streets in Toronto, you would not recognize Toronto anymore. It has changed so much. We have so many homeless people. We have so many boarded up buildings and restaurants and stuff like that. Even some streets in Toronto look like the east side of Buffalo.
Wow.
Like it's just all boarded up places because nobody can afford the rents. It's just crazy. Even Hyde Park has homeless people in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's by design, though. You know that, eh?
Yeah, I know. And then every once in a while, they send in reinforcements, the police, and to kick them all out. And they're camping outside of churches, and because all the parks are getting full, and then most of them don't sleep at night because they're afraid they're going to get robbed, and then also a lot of the stores here in Toronto, a lot of the places lock their doors, so you got to knock on their door in order to get in. And some of the places won't even let you in if they don't recognize you. And so how are you supposed to shop at new places if they don't know you, right? Because that's how scared. That's how many businesses are being robbed, and carjacking has gone up big time too. We've had several carjacking in this neighborhood, and one man died over his Mercedes. They tried to rob him for his Mercedes, and then they shot him, and he died later on in hospital. My hairstylist caught 3 people at 2:00 in the morning trying to steal her car, and her and her neighbor caught them. It was two guys and a girl, and almost every business in my neighborhood have been robbed. Our pharmacy has been robbed. Last year alone, they got robbed probably 4 or 5 times, and they're all.
If they had firearms, they wouldn't have been robbed.
Yeah, and they're all the people that are doing these robberies are kids. They're 14, 15-year-olds. And why? It's the big bad guys that are hiring these kids because they know they're juvies and they're going to, end up going to juvie hall. And that's how they talk them into that. And they give them money, which whatever money they're offering them. They could offer these kids a couple $100 and they'll think that they're rich. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's so
the
sad.
thing is why that we allowed this to go on because a lot of
Hmm.
people have woken up. Like if people are not awake now, I don't, what does it take to wake people up?
I don't know because there's still quite a few people. I don't even. I'm glad to find this platform because I don't really talk to too many people in this. Like I have only one of my family got the vaccine and everybody else didn't. But a lot of my family's on the right side of the fence. But a lot of only a handful of my friends are on the right side. The rest of them still like they don't believe it. If it's not on mainstream media, it can't be true. Da, da, da. And so it don't matter. I still try to educate the ones that will listen. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't listen, well, when all these things come crumbling down, if we don't stop it, hopefully we will, but all these things that come tumbling down, then they'll be like, oh, well, what happened? How did that happen? Well, I didn't hear about that. Well, if I knew about that, I could have done something. Well, you did know. It was out there. I've been trying to tell people. I got disinvited to go to um, for Christmas to a friend's house that I spent Christmas with her during COVID. And then the following year, she would not let me come to her house because I was not vaccinated. And then another friend too told me I can't come to her house because I'm not vaccinated. Now this is a woman that's had 6 vaccines and 2 boosters. And I said, well, maybe I don't want to come to your house because you are vaccinated.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there. So, what can you do? But
I got
I
that
don't.
here living. I got that here living in the country. Like friends of mine out in the country, don't come around if you haven't got their shot. And I said, well, I'm not going to get it. So, well, they said, well, just stay away. And I said, well, you'll find out one of these days what it's all about. And they
Hmm.
did. And now they say, well, you're all right all the time. I goes, well, tried to tell you, but you wouldn't listen.
That's
But
good.
I'm the oldest of the bunch. They should respect me, right? So, but they don't.
You would think, and it's just like my friends, they trust me with everything else that I have said, and now I'm just a conspiracy theory, and I'm just like, okay, well, all these conspiracy theories came true. Now what? Now I'm gonna have to tell you about other ones that you're gonna call a conspiracy theory. So it's like whatever. People are people. They're gonna believe what they want to believe, and all you can do is try to educate them and try to and some of the people, it's like you're adults, and there's not only so much I can say to you, but I am doing this because of your kid and all the kids in the world. I am about children and about protecting the children. And if we don't put a stop to this and don't do something, the life that we're going to leave behind for our children, it's going to suck. It's going to be really, really, really bad.
It
And so
sucks. It
we have to
sucks
do
now.
something.
It
Yeah.
sucks now.
Hmm. I'm so glad I grew up in the right areas, and you know what I mean. The '70s, the '80s, '90s. Those were, as far as I'm concerned, was the best time to be a kid and whatever. Now, yeah, this world is so bad. They're all with the kids are with their electronics, with their iPads and stuff. They don't look up into the world. And I bring my nieces and nephews come to visit me, and I tell them go outside and play, and they're like, and do what? Just like go make some friends on the street. Well, I don't know them. And it's
Well,
like, look, when I was
that's
a
all.
kid,
That's
sorry.
all by design too. Like the
Yeah,
cell phones, the iPads, all that stuff was there deliberately so they can brainwash the people to what they are now. Swear to God, sometimes I think there must be a genetic difference between the people that are awake and the people that are asleep.
exactly. And don't mean to change the subject, but dude, Neil was talking about human trafficking. And as you know, human trafficking is really bad. I want to know if any of you guys seen the movie Sounds of Freedom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now that movie, when it came out, and that they had a hard time getting that movie into theaters. They did not want it. They had to push and push, and finally, it took the guy. I think it's like 6 to 8 months before any theater would pick that up.
Yep.
And it was really mild what they actually showed too to what's out.
Yeah, they had to dumb it down in order for them to play it. That's why.
And that's why all of this talk conversation is the reason why I want Thrivalism Thursday to focus mainly on what strategies that we can actually do that will make a difference,
Exactly.
as opposed to sitting here and running off and telling all the negative stories again that we've all heard 100 times. But we haven't heard positive stories very much. And CSA Group, we've accomplished a lot of little positive stories, like what Dave's done with the radio group. Like he's the one that's kind of headed that up, him and Roger. And how many people have you got going on the radios now? Is it Dave?
I think there's around about 40 that have got radio communications, but
Oh, nice.
that's growing all the time. But I mean, we started out, Neil, you know that.
Yeah,
We could barely talk, 10 kilometers. Now we're talking around the world. So we've come a long way in a year and a half.
yeah.
That's
And,
pretty good.
and it's
That
all
is really good.
And those are the little things that Thrivalism Thursday, if it continues on, we're going to find that we'll have stimulating ideas presented. Somebody else is doing something somewhere else, and everybody will jump on board. Oh, I like that idea, and they'll do it in their community. Um, when Joe came on and then Bruce with the Truth Tour from down in the States, they were on January the 18th, and there was like only 3 of us or 4 of us on the whole night on the webinar. And I says, don't worry, Joe. I says, I'm going to put it on and see how many hits we get on the video. Well, there's approaching 800 hits on that video now. So those are good
Nice.
ideas. Those are really good ideas that we shared in that 2 hour talk that a lot of people are hearing. They think, wow, we could get together and garden together ourselves. We can do that.
Right.
And it's ridiculous how small things make big differences.
Well, you know what, Neil, you're absolutely right because if
Mhm.
if if you remember, we started the Niagara group.
Yeah,
That all came from a Zoom call. I made a statement at the end, and I said, it's fine to have all this communication, but what are you people doing to prepare for what's coming? And one lady there, Sandra, that really resonated with her, and she came. Well, we met up with Sandra on the phone, and I explained to her what we were all about. She took off like a rocket. The
yeah,
first meeting we had in Niagara on the Lake, we had better than 100 people. We had another one about 3 weeks later. We had 140,
yeah. 140, she said. Yeah,
and it's growing like in leaps and bounds. So there are the silent people out there that don't even know these groups exist, and when they find out, they go, "That's what I want." I had a guy here at my house from Niagara on the Lake. He saw the meeting that Joe and I put on, and he came to my house, because he was in the area. He phoned me up, and we had a great discussion for a good hour. And he says, "Boy, I've learned a lot." And it's all about sharing information and sharing ideas of the best way to handle what's happening, or at least survive what's happening. I mean, I've been at this, you know that, Neil. I've been at this for over 12 years.
yeah.
So, I mean, I've been awake a long time.
You and me both. I started running down rabbit holes in the 90s when I read a book called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. And that was way back in the 90s. Long before 9/11, I was running down those rabbit holes looking for the truth in it. Cut up my credit cards way back in the early 80s. Said, you know what? This whole thing's corrupt, and I'm going to do my very best to live without being part of it. And I
Yeah.
figured the only way to not support the devil in the restaurant is eat somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew even at 9/11, I knew there was something going on because being a millwright and a high pressure welder, I deal with steel, and I knew the jet fuel can't melt that steel. So I mean, I knew there was something else, something either was an explosion or what. But now I'm finding out it was an energy beam
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
was no rubble left.
Yeah, and,
So
and all the pictures, if it would have been a plane that really hit that building, there'd have been parts of the plane falling the outside of the building. There was none. There was no
right.
debris.
Well, I mean, the engines themselves,
Yeah, oh,
it
yeah.
should be there, but
Like
there was nothing.
Mhm.
Just like when they did the Pentagon.
Yeah.
That was not a plane.
Scud missile.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But
So
people are gullible though, right? People are gullible. They'll listen to mainstream news. They'll soak it up and think it's the truth, and it's nothing but it's quite the opposite.
So those are all
Mhm.
the negative things, and it goes back to why I'm doing the Thrivalism Thursday, and I start off with the self-empowerment section, and that's what that whole part of the metaphysics and the spiritual side of it is. Because if we're not able to stand in our own power, when the evil ones knock at our door, we're just going to cower. I have no intention of cowering, that's for sure. They won't be.
Oh, this guy ain't going to be cowering. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so like we have to be strong in ourselves, help to encourage other people to empower them, uplift them. And little by little, it's just one tiny thing at a time. Like I've been uh, waking people up, you can't wake them up. You can only nudge them and nudge them a little bit, tickle them in the way that they need to be tickled in order to actually look that way. They have to be willing to look. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. If you're not willing to look for the weeds in the garden, they'll take over. You have to look for
Yeah,
them and pull them. There's a
I
step.
know. I went to visit my finance manager at the bank because I like to get out my money, and and I told her when we walked in, I said, "How long is our appointment?" She says, "An hour." I said, "Well, by the time I leave, you're not going to be the same person." And I gave her like the business only took like 10 minutes, and I gave her the spiel. But
Yeah,
the reaction was blank look in the face, disbelief. And I said, "Well, one of these days you're going to wake up and you're going to say, 'Boy, I wish I'd have listened to that guy when he was in my office.'"
yeah.
That's right. And I'm sorry. Can you talk about a little bit more about Neil about your topic? Because, like I said, I'm still trying to catch up to what you said when you first started speaking
Um,
about the planet and stuff.
okay, yeah. Today's topic is the difference between the dream of the world and the dream of the planet, and that's looking at this 3D world that we live in through the eyes of the Toltec. And the early Toltec, they were considered to be sorcerers, and now they spell source as is we're coming in touch with source. We're learning how to express that divine nature that's inside each and every one of us. And God hath not given the spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of sound mind. And so we have two ways to look at this 3D world that we're living in. We have the dream of the world and the dream of the planet. So when we are focused on only what our ego needs, if we're focused on just business and making money and we go to work, come home and watch TV, and we're only focused in a very limited aspect of the whole nature of reality that we're actually existing in. And so that's in the dream of the world, because in the dream of the world, our job as a warrior to wake up in the dream of the world is to exercise the talents and utilize all of the skills and all of the materials available to create a world for our liking based on what the ego's needs are. And in the dream of the planet, it's what's happening with the energy of all mankind, because thoughts are things. That's going right back into metaphysics. Metaphysics is deep subject, and the reality of that we live in is nothing more than one big massive field of vibrations. So we have energy, frequency, and vibrations. That's what Tesla said as well. And all of the early gurus and the spiritual leaders all spoke of the same in their own way. Like Jesus would say, the heaven was inside you, God is inside you. And that is also so true, because the energy, frequency, and vibration that is everywhere to the ends of the universe, right to the inside of the center of every cell in your body. And so we create our reality with our thinking. It starts there. And our thinking will take us into, good evening, Speed Peter. Our thinking will take us into doing things with our action steps. They'll have a strategy. And if we're in the dream of the world, the strategy is all going to be about making a better life for ourselves and our family. It'll all be around what the ego desires. And that doesn't mean to say it's evil. It isn't, because you can be a very good person and be compassionate to others and not walk all over them and be part of the dream of the world. But in the dream of the world, you're not paying attention to what's happening on the planet. You're not paying attention to what's happening in politics, and you're definitely not paying attention to what's happening in the planet and politics on the other side of the earth. And so therefore, in the dream of the planet, it's tapped into the energy and vibration frequency of the higher self. And we're talking about all of mankind. We're not only talking about our own life. So in the dream of the world and the dream of the planet, they're both accurate. They're both there. And the warrior spirit, being the person who is awakened and empowered, they can be awakened at the earth level, or they can be awakened at the planet level. So in the dream of the world, they're awakened to what they do in order to create a big, very abundant and fulfilling life for themselves. But in the dream of the planet, they include all the peoples of the world. They want all of the peoples of the worlds to have a better place to be. And right now, because this great awakening is happening, the shifting of consciousness, our conscious vibration is raising. So we're more apt to be in tune with the vibrations of the dream of the planet. And so we're bridging the gap between the dream of the world and the dream of the planet right now. That's the spiritual aspect of what's going on with the great awakening. On the physical, we're only worried about getting rid of the evil. That's just the physical plane. That's only the dream of the world. But in the dream of the planet, we want to know what we have to do, what steps we can take, how we can work together, put our vibrations together, and create heaven on earth. And
I think
that's where
I
we're
think I think people, like, they go through stages, to ascending. Like, the first stage is absolute fear of what's happening. The second stage is once they get more information, they go through anger, extreme anger, and they want to do something. And then the third stage is total peace and calm. Because if you have a relationship with God, then that helps. It helped me anyway, because I went through all those stages, and now I'm thinking, planning, and trying to make the difference. And if everybody did that, the world would be better.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And being a warrior spirit, if you look at people who study Reiki, they're working with energy, and they can take their hands and go over somebody, and they can feel blockages, and they work with the energy to do it. I've been able to do that type of thing, absent healing, what I've worked on. I've been doing that for decades. Way back in the 80s, I started to realize that I had some of those shaman attributes, as I call them. And when you have the dream of the world in mind, you'll still use all of those energy, frequency, and vibrations, and learn to find that peace inside yourself, so that you can walk into a room that has 20 people in the room and they're all in a negative state of mind. And if you walk in, there's three things that you can do. You can turn around and walk out, or you can shift your vibrations and empower that light so strong that you shift the energy in the whole room, and you don't allow them to bring you down. You lift them up one at a time until they all start coming up with you. Or the third thing, which is sadly what most people do, they cower to the negative energy, and they become empathetic empaths, and they lower their frequency down and become part of them, so that their light doesn't negatively affect the other people. Because let's face it, if you walk in there and you're shining that light, and you're not refusing, or you're totally refusing to allow your vibrations to be lowered to their negative way of thinking, If you do that, you shake them up. They're not ready for that because that's. But what happens is that when you get good at that, you'll learn how to add a little bit of humor, and the next thing you know, you'll have everybody laughing. Or tell a happy story, and they're all of a sudden you shake them right out of their negative conundrum. And so Dave's right, and peace profound is the most important aspect. In fact, the Reiki masters that have taught my daughter and a few other people that I've talked to, they say that there's a vibration that's way stronger than love. And I know that for a fact, that peace profound is a way stronger than love, because you can be in a negative state of mind. You can be miserable and still feel love. But if you're feeling peace profound, love is automatic. Love is totally 1000% automatic. If you're in that peace profound state, you can't get into that feeling vibration of chaos. You're in that state of peace profound. That is more powerful than absolutely anything. And that's why a lot of the Christians label Jesus as the Prince of Peace.
Well, you know what? A good thing for people to do. I mean, we're out there, Neil, you are too, and we're giving it 120%, just so that to teach people. But you know what? For your own self, you need to take time off, just like in a regular job. You have to take time off, ground yourself, and just take one day and do absolutely nothing.
I'm bad
For
for that.
yourself.
I don't.
This is true, and it's a little hard, but I just want to jump on grounding.
Yeah.
What I have been doing in the last year or so, which going back to the days from when growing up, where you were, it was safe to go barefoot, and so it's very important to ground yourself.
Oh yeah.
To go outside and stand on the grass with no socks and shoes on, so you can ground yourself. And so I just wanted to make a comment about that.
That's 100%.
Oh, that's really important. I know I'm going to buy one of those things for nighttime for your bed. You can ground yourself, and
In your
I
bed.
think that's going to give me more energy. I'm already bouncing off the walls, but
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to have Peter tell you about his grounding of his bed.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I'd like to hear this.
I ground.
Peter's from our CSA group in Niagara on the Lake.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
Hi, Peter.
in the summertime, I don't wear shoes. The only time I wear shoes is if I go into a place of business, or at home. I never wear them. I do gardening, everything in bare feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
So,
people in our group. We have people in our group when they go out to harvest and stuff. They're in bare feet.
nice. So,
I've even shoveled snow in bare feet. That was fun.
snow.
You can't do that for too long, though.
No. But what is this, grounding in bed? How do you do that?
It's just
Well,
a
you
grounding
can
mat.
buy the grounding pads. You can put it on your bed. You can plug it into the ground part of your electrical plug. That's what you do. And then
Peter
it goes down to ground. It goes down to the ground because your house, when it's all wired up, has to have a ground wire into the ground, right? So when you plug it into that red hole, on the plug, that third hole, so you plug it in there, and then you can sleep on the pad, and you're grounded all night.
Maybe even show you.
I never heard of that. Very interesting.
Oh, yeah. You can get them on Amazon.
Really?
Yep.
Like you said, you learn something new every day.
I'm not sure you
That's why we have these meetings.
I'm not sure you caught this, Dave, but I said let Peter tell you about his because he's got one.
Oh, look at that. Oh, okay. Like a yoga mat.
There's
Hey, Peter, do you put that under the sheet or do you lie right on it?
I lay right on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel it. You get used to it.
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. And do you find it works good?
Oh, absolutely. One day I forgot.
I'm gonna get my wife one.
One day I changed my sheets and I forgot to put it out, and I woke up with a migraine the next day. It could have been a coincidence,
Right.
but I haven't done it since.
Well,
Also,
you
you
know
do
what?
it.
The more things that go on with this, with what we're doing, I mean, I could tell stories galore about, you know, coincidences, if you want to call it that. But
Mhm.
boy, I'll tell you, there's another force out there that's behind us, 100%.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Ali, too. I just see you snuck in there, Ali. Ali was here on our meeting last week. So, hello.
Hello, brother. How you doing, buddy?
Real good. Glad to see you can make it back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm tuned in, listening.
Right on. Uh,
Oh,
feel
yeah,
feel
he's the gentleman that was on with his mom, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yes, I am.
Hi, I'm Sharon from Canada, as you
How you
can
doing?
see.
How you doing, Miss Sharon?
I'm fine, thank you. I listened to the webinar from last Thursday, last night, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Haha, good job. Good job. Good deal. Well, glad to meet you.
Nice to inform you, meet you too.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, connect me too.
Yes,
Oh, connect us all. Yeah, there we go.
yes. I couldn't wait for the product to come out. I just couldn't wait, and it's so amazing to use.
Yes, it is. It's really great. Uh, and there's so many big things to come, and so many. I can't. My favorite platform, and the reason why I joined on Passive is because of Oblast, and because I have a big heart, and I'm always helping out my community. Even if I have nothing, I'm always like, there's got to be something I can do for you. And and I'm a very loving, giving person to the point where it's not always about money that people need. Sometimes people just need a hug and or a smile. Like a smile can go a long way. You can walk by somebody and they could be looking miserable, and you give them a smile. And sometimes they smile back, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they look at you like, "Who are you smiling at? I don't know you." And some people even thank you for that smile. I have been known to give people hugs, like just walking down the street, and some person just looks like they need a hug, and ask them, "Do you need a hug?" And 9 out of 10 times they say yes. And then sometimes I wonder if I needed to hug more than them. you know, it's always
Yes,
good to offer. Or I'll buy some flowers and just randomly give them to a stranger on the street. Just to make somebody's day. And so it's the little things in life that people need to go back to, because in today's world, it's just everyone's just so fast and running crazy. A good movie, if you guys haven't seen, is The Gods Must Be Crazy. I don't know if anyone's seen that movie.
no,
No,
I haven't seen it. Most definitely, I have not seen it.
Excellent movie to watch. There's no speaking. It's about part of out in Africa, and they're kind of making fun of um, the modern world, like Americans and Canadians, like how we live compared to how they live. Because life is so much simpler in Africa. And there's part one and two, and basically the filmmakers, they paid these Africans like peanuts to do this movie, mind you, and they promised them all kinds of things, so they didn't get everything that they were promised. But it's a great movie. It's very educational, and it just teaches you. Like there's a couple. There's a couple of favorite parts in the movie that I really like about the Gods Must Be Crazy,
it all
and one of my favorite parts is the father teaches his boys that if they come up against, I think it was a hyena, some kind of animal or whatever, you always have to make sure that so they won't attack you, to make sure that you're taller than the hyena. So this little boy, he must have been like 3 or 4 years old. He had about three hyenas try to chase him, so he grabs this big, huge stick and he just puts it on top of his head like this, and he just stands there like this, and they run away. But the beginning part of the movie and about the movie is that an airplane drives by this village of little Africans, and somebody throws out a Coca-Cola bottle. And the Africans in the African world, they share everything. And so they got this thing, and they didn't have a clue what this bottle was or what it was for. So everybody in the village shared this bottle. The women used it to cook with and to pound things. The some of the African boys used it to help build things, and they all used it for something different. And it got to the point that everybody wanted it and everybody wanted to use it. Then they started fighting over it, which is totally against African rules. They're loving people and they share everything. So then they decided that they're going to get rid of this Coca-Cola bottle,
Oh,
and
the word.
they had to walk, to the end of the whatever they call the end of the world to throw it over.
Yeah,
And I want to say no more about the movie. I highly recommend. If you have not seen it, please watch The Gods Must Be Crazy.
yeah. I
All
don't know.
right.
From the end.
And to tune in, that's everybody joined on passion for that too for Old Blacks as well.
The
So that's a great story to share. Yes.
the title of that movie, it was so funny how they come up with the title of it. Do you remember that, Sharon? He the guy that was going to throw the bottle over the end of the earth, he come across a city of white people, and they were just all doing their things, and he's looking at him and look at him. He says the gods must love crazy people because they made so
Right.
many of them.
Yeah. And he said when he seen an overweight person, they were like, "Oh, that person must be greedy. He must not be sharing his food with the village. He must be eating it."
Yeah, yeah. Had a lot
And
of,
we-
and another good movie for the times, if you haven't watched it, it's very good for the times, is V for Vendetta.
Which one?
V for Vendetta.
Did I see that? That sounds familiar. B
It's
for Vendetta.
it's all about the story from Guy Fawkes that was going to burn down the Parliament in England, and he was hung for it. But anyways, this the QAnon masks came from that movie, V for Vendetta.
Is it based on a true story?
Uh, the Guy Fawkes part of it is true, but the V for Vendetta is not true.
Maybe we
Okay.
should all take maybe we should all take a lesson from Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
For sure.
For sure.
Well, I'm going to watch that movie. I wrote it down.
The most important thing is we can do though is stand in our power, stay optimistic, and I love what you're saying, Sharon, is just giving somebody a smile. It's shocking how much a difference you can make in a person's life just by sharing a smile at the right time.
Exactly.
You know, I know for a fact there was this fellow sitting at the end of the pier one day, and right on the pier at Port Dover, where it's like 10 minutes from my house. And my intuition's really powerful. I mean, something's wrong with this guy. And I went down and I talked to him for maybe half an hour. And I watched his spirit just went from really down to all of a sudden he stood up and he was actually grabbed a hold of himself and he walked back to his car with a little bit of power to his stride. My intuition tells me he was contemplating jumping over, and it was cold and miserable, and it was not not weather to swim in. He was planning on contemplating committing suicide. I could tell that by the vibrations and his attitude. And when I was talking to him, I shared with him some basic ideas, and then I kind of left and says, "Well, just make the most of today, buddy." And I'm
Exactly.
walking away. He kind of just looked at me funny. He got up, put his phone in his pocket, and started walking to his car. And to this day, I'm pretty sure. I have no way of proving it, but vibe wise, I know he wasn't contemplating doing anything that was happy.
Well, you know, Neil, I've told this story. You probably heard it, but I was on vacation in Dominican, and I was being like a kid. I was going out. The waves are about 4 feet high. I go out to my waist and I body surf the waves in, and
Yeah.
I did this pretty much all afternoon. And I said to my wife, she's way up on the beach there under a cabana, and I said, I'm going out one more time, and then we can go and get showered up and go for supper. Well, when I went out the last time, I was up to my waist in water, and within a blink of an eye, the water was up to my chin. I went to make a step forward, and then I was dragged right out in the ocean. I got caught up in a riptide. and I never knew what to do with a riptide. I mean, I learned afterwards you got to swim sideways, but when I was out there, I was out there by myself,
Yeah.
and I got a leg cramp, so I couldn't kick with my legs because my cramp was so painful. I had to splash with my arms, and I thought to myself at the time, I mean, my life didn't flash in front of my eyes, but I thought to myself, how's my wife going to get me home in a body bag? And I was ready. I was so exhausted, and I happened to look over to my right, and there was a couple in the water, and they were probably 20, 30 feet away. So I mustered enough energy so I could swim, and I managed to grab the guy's shoulder before I went under. And it turned out he was a lifeguard, and he took me to shore. Now you
Yeah.
call that like God had a plan for me, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It
I'll
wasn't
tell
your
you,
time.
it's a lot of things like that have happened to me,
Yeah.
and you really got to believe because I mean, why are we here? Why are we different? You're different for a reason. It's like Neil says, you've been chosen.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
definitely have been chosen as one of God's warriors.
Yeah.
So
Two.
don't take that lightly,
No, that's
and don't underestimate yourself either. You got power. You just got to let it go.
well,
Let it
way
out.
more power than you know you have too.
Yeah,
Really.
that's right.
Yeah. I at the two Mondays ago at our CSA meeting, uh, said to Joe, I said, "Boy," he says it's taken a long time. And I said, "Yeah, it's taken a long time." And he says, "Well, it's been like how many years?" I looked at
4.
and I look at him and I says, "I don't know." He says, "I've been waiting for this moment for 68 years."
All your life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% reason why I'm here is the way I feel it and what we're going through right now. And if I can just save one guy from drowning, or I have another drowning story that I saved another guy at the pier. The one day I was out looking, and this guy, he just there was something about him where he was swimming. He didn't look good. He was treading water and he seemed fine. And he kind of hollered help to his friend, his girl, his lady friend, and she was a little ways away. And she kind of giggles and was swimming over to him. And he was still treading water, looking like he was doing fine. But as soon as she got there, he pushed her down. And he was right then, she was in panic and he was starting to panic. And so I just hollered as loud as I possibly could. I focus. And I knew I couldn't jump in and do it because a year before I tried swimming. I almost died myself swimming. And I thought, no, I'm not going to be able to swim. And I looked down at the beginning of the pier and there was a chap hauling out his son. And his son had one of them styrofoam surfboards for kids, right? Teach them to swim. And so I went running down and I grabbed this kid by one arm and I reached him up and pulled him right over top of the railing at the pier. And this guy's just freaking because I grabbed his son like that, right? And I said, "Don't worry about your son." I says, "Take this board and help that guy out there." Well, he turned and looked, and just like that, he tuned into where everything was. And I grabbed the son, went running back, and I held the girl. When she come up to the side, and she was winded, she was needing help. So I just held her, and she was trying to let go because she wanted to go help. And I said, "No, no, no, you get your wind. Look at me in the eye." So in the end, when another guy had jumped in to help the first guy with the board, and when they were pulling him out of the water, he passed out. That's how close he was. But we saved him that day, and I'm not one to carry trauma any more than a second. It was when the whole event was over. I thought it was amusing because he had one of those near death experiences. There's no question in my mind. Something went through his mind, and he was standing there in his daze. And I looked at him and grinned, and I said, "Well, buddy," I says, "tomorrow morning you get to start a new life, and you get a second chance." And he
Mhm.
looked at me and says, "I guess you're right." Yeah.
And you
Anyway.
don't want to waste it.
No, and we are living in the most magical, beautiful times the world has ever seen because every single one that we save means that there's going to be one more that they save. Like it's like the bottom line is these are beautiful, positive times because we're winning. Light is winning. This whole battle that we're in, it's been challenging and it's been a long time coming to get to this point, and it feels like it's longer than it really has been when you look at the fact that the white hat plan started way back with JFK's assassination. That was like 60 years ago. So for crying out loud, the plan's been unfolding that long, and we're whining and wimping because it's taken us 4 to 7 years of being awake to go through this. We haven't even come close to the amount of time that they spend in. We got to be patient. We got to look at this and get excited. We're just about to the end of this crazy war, and by 2027, the world's going to be magical.
I'll tell you, there's one thing that a lot of the MPs are doing right now, including Trudeau, is they bought homes in Costa Rica. Now, why Costa Rica? There's no extradition. And also Israel. People are buying land and houses in Israel. No extradition. But what they don't seem to understand is when this is all over, there will be extradition. They will be able to go and get those people and make them accountable for what they've done. And I'll be breaking out the champagne and celebrating. No, it's going to happen. I mean, look what they're doing to Trump. I mean, they're so scared of him getting back in as president because they know they're going to go to Gitmo and they're going to stand trial. And trials have already been going on for a while, but it's just not hit the mainstream news.
I believe he will win. Trump is going to be president again. I believe it.
Oh yeah, sure he is.
It's all part of the plan.
He's never left. He's been commander in chief through this whole.
Yep. Yeah. Hence the Q on the hat.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And
you know what? When the mainstream media doesn't know what they're talking about because they say, "Oh, the QAnon people." It's not QAnon. It's Q, and then the Anons. That's two separate things.
Yeah.
Q is the military intelligence, along with Trump, doing all the planning, like Neil says. The Anons are the people that are following them.
I'm trying to figure out the comms as they come out because they're letting us know what they're doing, but they can't tell the plan. The enemy can't know the plan. So we have to figure things out as they go. And when you get good at it, when you get really good at it, you follow the people who have the right connections. They're actually giving proper intel. That's what I found with me. When I first started following people, I was following people that they never had the intel that the people that I follow now do. The people that I follow now do, they're really uptight close. So quite frankly, I'm excited. We're nearing the end of this war, and there's a few battles left to go, and it's going to be rough this year, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as we're prepared for. With the CSA, we're prepared for the worst, but I don't think it's going to get anywhere near that bad because the whole plan always was to do it without causing interference to the general population. That's what continuity of government is about. And I've told this story before. I listened to a general. Dave's heard it, but no one else has. I listened to this general, and he was saying that when they went into Iraq, they took over a city about 70,000 people, and he had 2,800 men. How long did it take him to take over that city? 25 minutes. 25 minutes.
Thank you.
He had a group go out. They blocked all the major roads in and out. They took over the town council. They took over the police, so they had all the radio then. They took over the hospital dispatch and the fire. So all of the main services were totally taken care of by the military, right from the town council right on down to the fire department. And that is what is taking place on a global basis right now. The military is in control. The military is in control of our government, and that's how come they're allowing these stupid things being brought out. Because the stupider it looks, the more people start to question. It's all about waking people up now. It's all about waking up the odd person because the military is in control of even the media. They're allowing the media to give the negative programming because, well, the evil ones, they always said, look over there. Well, while they were busy doing evil things over here, white hats are doing the same thing now. They're making everybody look over here, but they're cleaning up a mess over there. And that is going on in a huge way. It's called continuity of government, and it's devolution of government, where they take it down one step at a time and replace it. But the whole government is going to be replaced from the North Pole to the South Pole. I don't care if it's round Earth or flat Earth. It's a beautiful realm that we live in, and it's a sea of endless vibrations, as Tesla would say. I believe that. It's a beautiful realm, and I'm excited to be part of this whole process that we're going through. Good times. Good times to be.
Yeah,
You
what
know,
is it?
sometimes you don't know when you see what's happening. You don't know whether it's the white hats doing it to wake up the people, or it's the black hats. So you don't know what the plan is because all this planning they do it like they had cells with ISIS. So one group didn't know what the other group was doing. That's basically what Q does. They've got different groups doing different things, not knowing what the whole plan is.
Yep.
There's only a handful of people that know the plan, and they're enacting that plan, but they've got different cells doing different jobs. A lot of planning. I mean, I know what it takes to help run CSA. It's unbelievable. For that one worldwide, oh, that blows my mind. It's huge.
Yeah.
So
The
it's like a game of chess. They're in checkmate right now. That's why they're building the bunkers and they're trying to leave the country and go to different places and have it all set up for themselves. But there won't be a place on this planet where they can hide. Not even in Antarctica. There won't be a place.
yeah. Sure. That,
Waiting for them.
so yeah, there's lots to be grateful and thankful for, and that to me is where we need to keep our focus because with an attitude of gratitude, we don't allow ourselves to get too much into the negative. And
Exactly.
the attitude of gratitude keeps us in that hope mode. And I don't really believe in hope because I believe that's necessary only enough in order to be inspired to get strategic and start to do something because it's applied application, it's action steps. Hope is kind of like a wish, it's only a step above a wish. But hope is good for the fact that it stimulates the person to say, you know what, I better make a strategy because I'm going to be part of this game to clean things up. And, we empower ourselves and we empower each other. And sharing that story with Giving a Smile, it's unbelievable how powerful that really is. That it's unbelievable how powerful that really is.
Mm-hmm. And to me, like I'd be walking down the street and, for whatever reason, I'm a very smiley person anyways. And like I smile at everybody. Sometimes people call me smiley but because I seem to be always smiling, I don't even know I do it, most of the time. But the days that I don't do it and I know, and somebody smiles at me and I smile and I'm like, oh my God. And I thank them. Thank you for making me smile. And I'm thinking, why am I so miserable today? And it could be that I just have something on my mind or what. I remember somebody came up to me once and uh, offered me, I think it was a sucker or something. They said, I'll give you a sucker if you smile. And I just got off of work after like a 12-hour shift of work and that. And I guess I was just tired and stuff. Because normally if somebody looks at me and then I just smile, or if they smile at me, I smile back. But I'm thinking, how miserable did I look that day that they offered me a sucker to smile?
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good story. Good story.
Uh,
I love it when somebody else can pick me up just the way I pick somebody else up too, because when you're cognizant that took place, it makes your day even more special because not only did you get lifted up, but you recognize that they did it. They are the ones that turned that switch on and made me smile. And it gives you that more feeling of empowerment, because when we know what's taking place and it's not just happenstance, we are in control.
Yeah,
And
that's right. I'll tell you.
that's
I'll
why.
tell you a funny story. I gotta go soon, but I'll tell you a funny story. I was getting a tower so I could put my antenna up, and it was like around about noon hour. I guess I had to go back to my house to get some more tools, and I pulled up behind an OPP SUV, and at this particular light, you're not allowed to turn right on a red light. Well, this police officer turned right on a red light. So soon after that, it turned green. So I chased him. I'm flashing my lights and honking my horn, and he doesn't pull over. So I pulled up alongside him, and I told him, I said, "Pull over." So he pulled over, and I pulled behind him. I got out, and I do what the cops do. I ran my hand down the side of his vehicle,
So
and I said, "What are you doing this afternoon?" He goes, "Fine." I said, "Do you know why I stopped you?" He says, "I haven't got a clue. No." I said, "It's a traffic violation." I said, "You turn right on a red light." I said, "The sign above the light said no right turn on a red light." I said, "You didn't have any sirens on. You had no lights on. So you're no different than I am." I said, "But I'll tell you what, I'm in a good mood today. I'm going to lay off with a warning." And I said to him, I said, "But I just want you to remember, and remember this face." I said, "Because you ever pull me over, I want the same courtesy." And I looked at him and I said, "Have a nice day."
good story. Good story. I
No,
love that
no
story.
fear, right?
Yeah.
Just give them back what they do to you. So
Exactly. Exactly. I have done that before. But for those of you that don't understand what he said about riding, sorry, touching the vehicle on the side of the vehicle, or cops sometimes just touch the back of the vehicle. And the reason why they do that, in case you take off or whatever, and that they can catch you
Fingerprint.
later, because then they can find your fingerprint on your car.
that's right. Yep.
I just wanted to explain that in case nobody caught that.
That's why I did that. It's just-
That's good. That guy, he probably went home and told his wife, if he had a wife or a girlfriend, or even the guys in the station. You're not going to believe what a citizen did to me tonight. He's not going to share that story with everybody because he knows he broke the law.
he's not going to
But
tell the guys at work because he would get ripped to death for getting pulled over by a an everyday person,
Citizen.
right?
yeah,
No, if he was smart, he'd keep his mouth shut and just forget it. But I mean, the
that
look
is
on his
funny.
face was totally. His jaw dropped because he was just like he didn't know how to handle it. He didn't. I should have asked him for his license and insurance too.
You know?
I didn't want to push my luck too much.
That would have been funny. He would have probably thought you were an off-duty cop or something. I'm surprised he didn't ask you that.
No, I'm too old for that. But
You know
but
how,
it's stories like this we tell our group, and like what Neil says, you make them laugh because
yeah,
laughter is really
Mhm.
good for people. And I
Yeah.
try and do that. Neil knows that. I'll throw comments out at the meeting and get people laughing. That's just me.
No, that is good, and that is great. People don't laugh enough these days. That's why I like to hang out with children and animals, because children and animals are forever making you laugh, right? Like the darndest things that kids come out of their mouth, and I have a cat myself that I rescued a cat when I first moved into this neighborhood, and then I have my neighbors have a cat and two dogs, and then there's lots of dogs in the neighborhood, and I just love them. I always have doggy treats in my pocket and stuff, and I just love them because like animals and children, they're always making you laugh, and they're just so much easier to deal with.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. My wife makes me laugh because what happens with her is before her brain kicks in, the words come out of her mouth, and it's like, what? And it's like, she goes, oh, she's forever doing that. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, that is great. I just wanted to let you guys know that when I found out about this webinar last night, and that I shared this webinar with the host from One Global Movement. If you guys have not heard about One Global Movement, I am I am one of the children's mentor on it. I keep telling Dr. Mooney that I'm not a speaker, but she has been forcing me to speak. So I've been doing a lot. I've been on a few webinars now where I'm a co-host and I try to talk about what I'm doing for children. Or right now we've been celebrating for the last all month Women's History Month as well, and then we have she's on every day at 1 o'clock and 8 o'clock on YouTube, and then she's on O Connect 1 o'clock on Fridays. And I would love for you guys to come on One Global Movement. She's got a big heart, and it's all about the children and O Bless and O Academy, educating our children and blessing the world. And she is just a beautiful woman with a big heart that almost died a couple of years ago, and she decided that this was her calling before Onpassive. And I told her all about this wonderful group that I just stumbled on last night, and she's like, "Oh my God, that group sounds really good. I'd like to join." But unfortunately, she's going to have to watch the replays because she is on right now, and she has a show every night at 8 o'clock. So the chances of her catching you on Thursday at 8 o'clock is not going to happen. So she'll have to always watch the replay um, of it, and she will. Like I already shared her the one that I watched last night, and when she has time, she'll watch it. But it is a great platform. We talk about gardening, and I told her that Neil was talking about gardening and stuff like that. I go, I need to know more about what is gardening things. I said, my my phone was dying last night, so I couldn't get into all the different pages. I think you had a Facebook group, and I tried to get on Tango, and you're on like all these different ones that I would like to follow you on. And we've talked about gardening a lot, trying to get people back to gardening because I mean the stuff that we get today is not only it's overpriced, it's no good for you. There's no nutrition value in most of the stuff. I bought a green pepper a couple of years ago. I bought a green pepper from the store, and this is just when COVID hit, and I took it home and I chopped it up and I threw it in the frying pan, and it was popping like popcorn. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. I figured maybe it was just the pepper that I bought, or maybe it was, I don't know. So I bought another pepper from another store, and it did the same thing. And I'm like, why is this pepper popping like popcorn? So then I cut a big piece of the pepper and I threw it inside the frying pan. And then I got why it was popping, because there was plastic on it. And when I put a big piece, you can see the plastic rolling off of it. Disgusting. And so I always gardening. I love gardening. I still consider myself a new gardener, even though I've been doing it for probably about 20 years now. But there's just so much to learn about gardening, so I always feel I don't say I'm a gardener. I just like to garden because I'm always learning about it. And last year I decided that's it. I'm growing my own peppers. So I did red, green, orange, all the different peppers I grew up. I'm like, I'm not buying peppers no more from the store. I'm just going to do it myself. And I did onions last year and everything. So, and I started a gardening club in ONET, hence the name. My name is Sharon Whedon. So you guys can follow me on my gardening club in ONET, which is called Weed in My Garden.
Well, I gotta duck out now, so I'll see you guys later.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
I gotta ask you something there, David.
Yeah.
I'm also one of the in the trades are high pressure welder and millwright too as well.
Yeah.
My union hall was out of Sarnia. Did you ever work in St. Mary's?
No.
The gypsum plant?
I used to work for Ontario Hydro when it was Ontario Hydro.
Oh, I see.
So I was at Nanticoke for most of the time, but I was at Lakeview in Toronto. I've been up to Thunder Bay there, and then as my career changed and all that sort of stuff, my last job was manager with Atomic Energy of Canada out of Mississauga. So, I went up the ladder type of deal, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
It just looked familiar. That's all. I worked with a guy that looked exactly like you, and I was always wondering, oh, it was you.
yeah, no,
A lot of guys look like you, I suppose.
yeah, handsome and good looking. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And you are,
All right,
Dave.
guys.
See it.
It was so
We'll talk.
nice to meet you, Dave.
Yeah,
Sure.
you too, guys. See you
Yeah.
later. Ciao.
Okay, take care. Eh?
And on that note, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to love and leave you too. It was really nice being here, and I will definitely come on this platform again. There's like 3 8 o'clock webinars on during the week in that, but the other ones are on every day at 8 o'clock. So I'm sure they won't miss me, or maybe they will on Thursdays. But I'm going to start coming here, and I am speaking on One Global Movement, not this Friday, but next Friday, about safety first with children, teaching children safety first rules, and yes, and I definitely will tell more people about this platform.
Well, I'm glad. Your smiling face was appreciated here. That's for sure. You come with the right attitude, the right spirit, and that's what this is all about. Self-empowerment. What can we do in our communities? And there's going to be very little talk on Onpassive, but at the same time, we'll be adding some sales ideas, different ways that we can get new followers so that we can upgrade them to affiliates in time too. So
Great.
hopefully we'll get some new sales techniques that we all can learn from and grow from. And let's face it, we want to be able to have income coming in full time here so we can put our time and effort full time in making our communities better, and that makes the whole globe better.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm interested in that webinar. You did mention that on last Friday, you were talking about having a session regarding how we can help each other promote ourselves on social media and outside of social media. So I am looking forward to that session. But on that note, I have to go. It was nice meeting everybody here, and I will see you all later.
Nice meeting you, Sharon.
Yeah. Nice to meet you guys. Next Thursday, 7:30 or 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. I kind of like getting on at 7:30 because I was able to have a nice conversation with you before we started at 8 o'clock. But thank you so much. I'll see you next week, everybody.
I might be
Bye-bye.
officially 8. So
Okay. Enjoy and happy Friday for tomorrow, and have a great weekend. And thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
That was great. Have a good night, Sharon.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Sharon. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Ciao.
Right on. We've had a few different people come and go. Now we've got Michelle Weaver here in the background. And Allie's still here. Good to see.
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
This last week.
Huh? Excuse me, Mr. Neal. What'd you say?
Oh, I says it's good to see you made it again. And then I asked Peter how he is this week because he missed last week. He was on the 2 before.
Oh.
Yeah, it went longer than anticipated. So today I'm pretty tired. So
You too.
Right on. Right on.
we had a city council meeting last night that went until midnight. So it was, it was a long one.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. That's a long time to have a meeting.
Yeah, it started at 6. So, but
Yeah.
actually, I didn't stay till midnight. I stayed till 10. Yeah, there was a presenter, Maggie. You know Maggie?
Yeah.
Maggie Brown. Yeah, she presented. So it's
Cool.
different watching city council. They're a different kind of breed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
But we'll see if we can make a difference.
you know what? It's all about making. It goes back to what my whole thing's about. Start off with make a difference to yourself, empower yourself, and then make a small difference in your community, and don't underestimate the value of doing really small things like that smile.
Yeah.
That's perfectly stated.
Hmm.
You can shake up a whole world in a good way by smiling.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people don't know how to do that these days.
No, a lot of people won't even look at you.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, are you there, Michelle? Would you like to drop in and say hello to everybody? Allie, have you got anything to add tonight?
Not today. I don't. It seemed like that you guys covered everything. I'm just dropping in and listening in.
I don't think we covered everything, but we did make a scratch on top of the scratch.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I get you. You still covered up a good topic. I covered up a good amount.
Right on. Right, I'm
Yes, sir.
glad to hear that. Yeah, glad to hear that. So, have you been doing anything exciting, Peter? What have you been doing?
Oh, I've been all over the place.
Have you?
Yeah, we're working on a garden, setting up a garden, and that's taken up a lot of time. And I found a tower with an antenna. It's 45 feet. I got to take down.
Ah,
So that's going to be fun. It's still attached to a house.
so you plan on putting a ham up?
Not for me, just for the group, whoever can use it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just helping it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Right on.
How about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, I still been nursing that flu bug that I had. That between coughing from the flu and coughing from quitting smoking, and I have not had more than 2 cigarettes in a day for 2 weeks now. So
That's
I've
great.
almost got that down to a point where I'm going to go a day without any. So it's those 2 cigarettes. The first one in the morning was the hardest, and then one after supper. Uh, I spread it out throughout the day. I don't even have a full cigarette at a sitting. I'll have just 2 or 3 drags and put it out. So
Mm.
I almost got the whole thing licked, but uh, I'm pleased with the journey that I've made so far, the progress. But one thing that I would say that I wish I would have did this time that I did do when I quit 20 years the last time, and that is as I realized that smoking a cigarette or package of cigarettes was not one habit; it was 25. And so the last time I quit, I stopped having that first cigarette in the morning. I made myself wait an hour, and then I made myself wait 2 hours. Did the same after a meal. I wish I'd have did that this time because those cigarettes are the hardest ones for me not to give into.
Right.
Yeah. But having said that, it's just a mental game. You have to decide. Bottom line, you made a choice, Neil.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find if
Absolutely.
I can go without that first cigarette for a few hours, by noontime, I really want one. Really want one. So I light one up, have a couple puffs, and then my head's spinning. And I'm thinking, oh, I got to put it out. Then I cough and cough and cough and wondering why I even started in the first place. But, being a welder, you're getting everything, eh? You're getting the chemicals, you're getting gas, you're getting all the smoke. Like if you're not, away from it, working away from it. But if your eyes go bad like mine did over time, it just, they get burned out. And
Yeah,
now when I'm talking to you guys, I kind of want a cigarette, but I don't want a cigarette. Just trying to fight it. Get my water, grab a coffee, and every once in a while grab a piece of gum. But
yeah, right on.
it is hard. Believe me, it is hard. I am too, Neil, trying to stop. But it takes a little time. I have quit before for about, I think it was 10 months. And then I went to the bar one night, mistake, ran into an old friend,
Yeah.
and she really got me mad and whatever. And I started back in smoking just because of that. And I'm thinking, oh, why'd you ever do that for? But now I'm paying the price.
Well, you know what? Life goes on. So we give ourselves credit where it's due, pat ourselves on the back for any progress that you make, no matter how
Yeah.
small of it is, and
Well,
just
the
keep
thing is, I
building.
want to do good for myself and the community, right? So I put myself in, I get myself involved in uh, people in my area, my neighborhood, especially because there's so many people that need help here. Today, I did a good thing by giving my neighbor a ride downtown where she could barely walk, and I felt so sorry for her. And I thought, well, I'll give you a ride. I just got back home too at that time, and I didn't go down for coffee either this morning. There at the at our regular place, and I've been wanting to call you all day and ask you about those pickles. See if they made you sick.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah,
I was going to say I'm enjoying the pickles.
right on.
I'm enjoying the pickles, like you said. You were enjoying the hot sauce, so we made
Oh, I love it. That hot sauce is beautiful. I love it. I love the taste of it.
we made a swap. He pickled some dills, and I made the hot sauce. And I said, "Well, we'll do a trade." We
Yeah,
talked about that a few months ago, and finally we got the trade complete this last 10 days. So
yeah. Well, with Onpassive kicks in too, I want to buy a piece of property somewhere so I can grow a bunch of vegetables. And the food banks around here are really in need, so I'm thinking if I can help them out, all better for everybody all around in the community, and even the homeless here. Set some bushels out somewhere, or bags or whatever it takes in a piles. But everybody needs a little helping hand every once in a while around here, and if I'm available and I can do it for them, I'll do it.
yeah,
This way I am. I just gotta look forward.
that's cool.
Hopefully, I can stop smoking so I can run again. you know, but
One step at a time, there, Robert.
yeah,
One step at a time. Anyways, it's been a good night. It was a nice crowd to come, and I appreciate everybody's coming. Any closing comments that anybody feels that they really want to stick out and make an end to the evening for themselves, or
I'm looking forward to the bed.
right on, right on. I have to say that I'm kind of leaning that way myself. In another half an hour, I'll be ready, I'm sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm really glad that everybody came and all the people who are in the back lurking. There's what do we got here? Oh, I hit the wrong button again. Boom, boom. I've got a Ankit Burma from India, Pusham Ramesh from India, Anitra Adams Bennett from the States, and Michelle Weaver, who are lurking in the background. And hopefully, each and every one of you enjoyed the evening as well. And I wish everybody a good week ahead. And thanks a million for coming. The support was really good. I appreciate you all coming in. And I wish you all well, and peace profound to all of you. Peace profound. It's pretty obvious, isn't it, that Thrivalism Thursday is starting to build and become exactly what I envisioned it to be. It's all about self-empowerment to start with. That's why I start every Thrivalism Thursday sharing a little bit of metaphysics and spirituality and tall tech. This particular video was all around the tall tech. And I've done videos specifically to that. And these are some of the thumbnails of the videos that I've done before. I did a series of 7 videos when putting on the armor of God based on what the Toltec view of it all is. And so I will put the link to number 1 and number 7 in the description below. And every one of the 7 videos has the links to all other 7 videos in the series. So if you watch one through the description below, you're able to catch them all. And if you watch this series of 7 videos, you'll really get a grasp on what I was sharing with the idea of the dream of the world versus the dream of the planet. Also below, I'll give you the link to this video, A Warrior Spirit Takes Discipline, because it does. It's all about disciplining yourself to follow through with the strategy so that you do the things that are necessary. And like I said in the Thrivalism Thursday, we have to be cognizant of the weeds that are in our communities and around us, and then we have to be willing to pull them weeds. And that takes self-discipline. Awakening is more self-discipline than it is anything else. You see, when we shift our energy from fear to power with compassion, we will find that we were always loved beyond human understanding. It takes willpower to get the ego out of the way and silenced. It's not a passive act. Action with the power of intent will stop the ego's chatter and lead you to freedom. So welcome to the discipline of awakening. It's a journey, my friends. It's an absolute journey. Every day we make one step forward. And if we're cognizant of the fact that we have to be disciplined, we have to have observation skills and critical thinking skills, and we have to push ourselves to reestablish that connection to the divine spirit within inside. And that is the first part of Thrivalism Thursday. It's all about self-empowerment through the eyes of spirituality, Toltec, and metaphysics. And it's powerful. It's very powerful, and it's very, very deep. And most people are not accustomed to thinking deep. That's why I have the book behind me, Plotinus, the Enneads. If you think that you are a good reader and can understand deep information, start getting involved in studying metaphysics. You'll find that it goes a whole lot deeper than what most people are accustomed to actually looking at. So it's exciting times that we're living in. And through the Thrivalism Thursday, they're all getting more and more in control, I guess you could say. The direction that I want to see the Thrivalism Thursdays go, it's unfolding beautifully, and the participation is wonderful. I've met some fantastic people in the few that I've done so far, and I know that it's just going to continue to get better, and the relationships that we build through this Thrivalism Thursday is going to be astounding, and it's going to stimulate all kinds of thinking on strategies and things that we can do to make our own locations that much better, because it really is up to you and I to create heaven on earth. And that's the great awakening that we're in. It's more than just finding the evil and taking it down. It's the next step. The next step is, once it's all gone, what are we going to do with it? We're going to create heaven on earth. And that's what Thrivalism Thursday is all about. Self-empowerment, what we can do to make our own communities that much more powerful. And for those who are ready and willing and able to do some online marketing and would like to make some extra money, Onpassive is an incredible company that gives an opportunity for everyone to be participating in affiliate marketing and make a little money. As an example, OConnect, the monthly commitment is quite substantial when you think about compared to some of the free platforms that are out there. However, you get up to 10,000 guests can be at each one, and it's an unlimited number of hours of webinars that you can host. So it's really inexpensive when you look at the big picture, and the quality of the tools, the quality of the videos, the quality of the audio continues to be improving, and the tools, the fun tools that they have. A lot of people love to play with the little gimmicks that they have, like you can change your background and different sounds that you can have, and there's so many different things that Onpassive is building in tools, and it's making webinars web events, and they're all going to become more and more fun and more powerful as time goes on. And you get a 25% commission for selling somebody the product. So guess what that means? All you need is 4. You have 4 customers who purchase the product every month, and your use of the product is free. And then it gets better. Then you can start making money. And that's not the only product Onpassive has. And they have a whole mess of them that are in the background waiting to be unleashed one at a time as each one becomes more, all the bugs and kinks worked out. So the life of the Onpassive distributor or affiliate is going to become more and more fun because we have a platform that we can have fun creating webinars with. On top of that, we can make some money, and you make a little bit of money on the side. Guess what? It doesn't take too long, and you can overtake what you're earning with your job. Then, guess what? That's when life gets even more fun, and the time that you have available to do the community support activities to make your community a better place will just get more and more all the time. We really are at that point where humanity as a whole, in the dream of the planet, we're creating heaven on earth. And we're no longer just focused on our own little tiny world, our own little four walls. That's the dream of the world. The gap between the two have been programmed to be extensive. Only the elite had an understanding of the dream of the planet, and they manipulated it and turned everything upside down. And I shared what that really means in a previous Thrivalism Thursday. So I'm going to give you the link to 2 previous Thrivalism Thursdays in the description below. And each one of those will take you an extra step down the path of understanding what the evil ones have done and what the awakening is truly all about. So I hope that you step out of your comfort zone and be willing to look at Onpassive as an adventure and an opportunity to create cash flow as well as have some fun. So take a good look at it. It's free to sign up, and you get 14 days free use of OConnect and other products that are coming out that are available with it. And you have other products that are already included in the package that are always going to be free. And they're going to be improving as time goes on. So take a look and check it out. Be adventurous, be open-minded, and consider making a little passive income on the side. Let's face it, we could all use some more money, and more money will make life that much more fun and give us the freedom that we need in order to really build heaven on earth. Because it's going to take freedom of the strains of slavery that we've been all under. The globalist agenda is 100% failed. It's over. It's done. It's just a little bit of mopping up left, and we're going to have to wake a few more people up to what's really been going on for the last 7 years. Actually, for the last 60 years from the assassination of JFK. These are amazing times to be alive, and I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I put a lot of work into my videos and sharing the information that I shared, and as I've said in the workshop on Thrivalism Thursday, that I've spent over $30,000 on the education and on what I share for free. So I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link if anyone wants to support my channel and help me keep being in a position where I can reach out and do more. There's been a number of people who have already bought me coffee, and for that I'm very, very grateful. And I thank each and every one of you who have done so. So check out the description below for all the links that I've mentioned, and hopefully we'll see you next Thrivalism Thursday. And until then, I wish you and yours peace profound. I wish you and yours peace profound.